A Day in the D with Dad. Illustrated by Islamul Yusuf and written by Dr. Kelly M. Felder. I woke up bright and early, ate breakfast, and did my Saturday chores. After taking my shower, I was ready for some weekend fun. I combed my doll's hair, shot some hoops in my backyard, and even rode my bike. I didn't feel like playing on my console. I wanted to go somewhere and have fun. I went into my sister's room to hang out with her, but that did not last long. She said I was annoying and told me to leave. I went into the family room where my mom and dad were sitting and told them I was bored. They looked at me and laughed. "Michelle, how can you be bored with all the games and toys you have?" my dad asked. There are too many things to do in the D for anyone to be bored. The D my dad is referring to is Detroit, Michigan, also known as the Motor City. Detroit is home to the Pistons, Tigers, Lions, and Red Wings professional sports teams. Detroit is the largest and, in my opinion, the best city in Michigan. Detroit makes champions, my dad often says. Why do you think Detroit versus everybody is so popular? He often asks. Dad got a funny look on his face and a twinkle in his eye. Go to the bathroom and meet me in the car. We're going to have a solo daddy-daughter day. Your sister Marie has choir rehearsal, and Mom has to work, he said. I could not hide my excitement. I was smiling uncontrollably and jumping up and down. I loved our daddy-daughter dates. We started our day at Coney Island, home of chili cheese fries and, of course, chili hot dogs. After eating, and with a full stomach, I was ready for fun. After lunch, Dad drove to the center of downtown Detroit. We rode a scooter on the riverfront as we looked over into Canada. We zoomed around DeQuindercut, watched people play volleyball, and the water swaying off the river. We caught some cool breezes and talked. We rode to Hart Plaza, where Dad showed me a monument of a group of slaves near the Detroit River. Across the river, there is another monument of finally free, former slaves that traveled many miles to get their freedom, he said. Dad explained that Detroit had many stations on the Underground Railroad for slaves to hide at before traveling to Canada. We took selfies in front of the slave monument in Hart Plaza, then more selfies in front of the Spirit of Detroit, and then under the extended arm and fist in the middle of East Jefferson Avenue. The Spirit of Detroit is a massive statue of a seated man holding a family in one hand and a sphere with rays in his other hand. The statue represents the heart of all Detroiters living equally as one human race. Dad told me that sometimes when there are special events, the statue is dressed in garments to represent the event. The arm and fist in the center of the street that we took pictures in front of are in honor of one of the greatest heavyweight boxing world champions, Joe Louis. Joe Louis was a proud Detroiter and lived here for many years. Dad said Joe defeated many boxers, adding, "I told you Detroit made champions." After our selfies, we walked down Woodward Avenue, looked in store windows, and listened to music from street performers. We even took our shoes off and walked on the beach in Campus Martius Park. When Dad got tired from walking, we sat on a bench, ate ice cream, and talked about the history of Detroit and where we were going next. During our talk, I remembered the fun we had when my dad took me to the Puppet Art Theater. The theater is no longer in our city, but I remembered watching my favorite puppet performance, Anansi. Dad and I laughed out loud at Anansi, getting into all kinds of trouble. That was such a good time. We decided to head to Eastern Market. We bought flowers for Mom, candy for my sister, and some fresh fruits and vegetables for my grandma. We walked around and listened to music before we left for our next destination. My dad is a huge fan of Motown music, so we headed to the Motown Museum to check out the latest exhibits. The tour and our guides were fantastic. My dad bought me a Michael Jackson t-shirt and glitter glove from the gift shop. Then we headed to the car. Inside the car, I told my dad that this was the best daddy-daughter date ever. Dad smiled at me and said there was more to come. I dozed off, but when I woke up, we were at Northland Roller Rink. We went inside, rented our skates, and headed to the roller rink. Dad showed off his skills skating backward, shooting the duck, and dancing to the music. We made up a skating routine that had everyone watching us nodding with approval. Dad finally said we needed to sit down, so we went inside the arcade at the skating rink and played games for a while. After a bit of time passed, I told my dad I was ready to go home. Dad laughed and said, "Oh, you aren't bored anymore?" I told him with so much to do in C and the D, I would never use those words again if we came downtown every weekend. I thanked my dad for our fun day in the D, and we headed home.